And we are back. It is the 2021-2022 football season, and we at First Seed Sports are ready to get after it. I've got Kyle, I've got Mike, and I've got Dante with me. We are getting ready to do our first mock draft of the season. You guys excited?
Absolutely.
Sweet. All right, so we went ahead and we randomized what order we were in. Dante is the first pick. I believe Kyle is the 5th pick. I am the 10th pick, and Mike is the 12th pick. So it should be a little interesting. I think with Mike and I, we might vulture some of each other's players, but we'll see. That's how drafts go. We had to pivot a little bit. We moved over to Fantasy Football Calculator because Sleeper was giving us some issues today, but no worries. We'll make it work just the same. So just so you guys are aware, this is a PPR mock draft. 12 teams. It's standard roster, I believe. Quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex, and a defense. I think this one has kickers too, but we're not too worried about that. So, Dante, it looks like you're on the clock with the first pick.
With the first pick of the 2021 mock draft, Team 1, adequately named, I might add, we'll take Christian McCaffrey. Need I say more? He was injury ridden last year, 3 games last season, but that's just the way the game is played. Chances are one of the first few picks is going to have a pretty bad injury. So that's just the way it goes, unfortunately. But I think he's poised to have a really nice bounce back season. New situation with Sam Darnold. So we'll see how things go from there. But yeah, I think in terms of production, especially in the PPR league, can't really do better than Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, I agree with that. And kind of going off of what you said there, Dante, with the injuries, like we saw last year, you thought you were safe by getting Saquon, McCaffrey, or Zeke in your first 4 picks, but all 3 of them really underperformed. It was an injury for McCaffrey, it was an injury for Saquon, and Zeke lost his quarterback, which made them a one-dimensional offense. So really, I hear you there with the injury bug, but you got to take your shot with McCaffrey. Kyle, you're on the board.
I'm on the board, and I'm taking old Saquon Barkley. I feel like for this man, sky's the limit. We've seen what he's able to do. He, much like McCaffrey last year, got hurt, and we didn't see as much of him last year as we wanted to. But quite honestly, I'm all aboard the Barkley train in 2021, and I am totally happy with him on my team.
It's interesting. It looks like we saw after your pick, Travis Kelce went, which feels maybe kind of early. But
am I missing something with Jonathan Taylor too? Like, am I like? I feel like Nick Chubb, Zeke, Aaron Jones. I don't know. I just feel like all those running backs are poised to be in a better position than Jonathan Taylor in the first round. It just seems early. Next round, but I don't know. Personally, maybe you guys can shed some light on that.
I wouldn't say you're wrong because nobody really knows how the dynamic of him and Marlon Mack is going to work this year. Marlon Mack, like people forget, he was a dog, and then he broke his wrist and had that, and then obviously last year, right away in week 1, got injured and was out for the season. So like when he comes back, it's going to be very interesting. But I did see like staff within the Colts organization say that Jonathan Taylor did earn that spot. So it looks like it's going to be his job to lose this year to at least start the season. And my bad, Zach. Go ahead.
That's all right. So I was on the fence. I had Tyreek ready to draft, and I was going to click on Tyreek, but I'm such a running back first round guy. I had to go with Austin Eckler. I love the offense. I think Herbert really brings an extra dimension to the offense. And he was a guy, if he got rid of that injury last year, I think he would have had a huge season. So I'm taking another shot on him this year.
All right. And then right after you say that, of course, Tyreek Hill goes there. And if he made it to me, that was going to be my pick too. So now I'm really like, I was looking at Kelce. I think in most drafts, Kelce will leak to the 12th pick. But for now, I'm going to go ahead with my guy I'm really high on here, and I'm going to go ahead and draft Joe Mixon here.
Joe Mixon, okay.
Wow.
Mixon, all right.
Lots of running backs there, and the situation with Aaron Jones. I do think that Aaron Rodgers is going to play this year, but I do think that there is some drama within the organization, and it's a little bit scary to me. Cam Akers in a solid spot. Gibson's in a solid spot. Just Joe Mixon being there alone this year is just way too attractive for me. And then I'm going to go wide receiver here as well, and I'm going to go ahead and take Stephon Diggs here. In any normal circumstances, I'm taking Devontae Adams 100%. But like I said, right now at this point in the year, little too weary of what's going on in Green Bay, so I'm staying far away.
Yeah, I'm very much in the same boat as you as this is coming back to my pick here. I see Jones and I see Adams sitting on the board, but really until Aaron Rodgers says yes, I'm coming back to Green Bay, I kind of want to stay away from that situation, and that's why I think if it's at all possible, that's why it's important to draft as late as you can in the draft season. You know, I know everyone loves draft day, and it's like Christmas. You know, you can't wait for it to get here. Damn, that guy took my pick. All right. But I think as long as you wait, if you can wait as long as you can, it really kind of sorts out some of those question marks. All right. So that guy clearly took my pick there. So I'm kind of left with a different situation. I was going to go 2 running backs, the 2 LA guys. But immediately I'm looking at DeAndre Hopkins, and I think that he's kind of the last of those tier 1 wide receivers, you know, Tyreek, Devontae, Diggs, and Hopkins. So that's where my pick is going to go if I can successfully do it before it auto drafts me.
You don't think DK has entered that realm as well?
I missed it. I missed my pick.
Missed it.
All right. Well, looks like I got Aaron Jones instead. I have it shortened in a browser window, and it was messing me all up. Oh, well. All right, well, I'll pivot from here, I guess. Looks like I have Eckler and Jones.
And Dante, what was the question there?
You wouldn't put DK into that realm with DeAndre and Devontae? Or is that just a Seahawks fan in me?
I think it's the Seahawks fan in you. What do you think, Mike?
I think I would put him as the bottom of that tier, but I think he definitely deserves to be in there.
All right, Kyle, real quick explanation of your pick there.
I wanted to, avoid Zach's auto pick mistake of not getting his guy. And 2, I wanted to take the wide receiver that I personally think belongs in that top tier of receivers in fantasy that I think they're not sleeping on Calvin Ridley, but I personally think Ridley is going to be top of the top tier this year. And I want in on that. So give me him in the second round all day. I love Calvin Ridley. I've loved him. And with no Julio there, I'm in. I want him.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I feel like Calvin Ridley may even be a discounted Calvin Ridley. And not even that his ADP is going to be lower than it was last year. It's going to be higher. I still think it's a discount for wherever he's going this year. He's going to be an animal.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Don, what are your 2 picks here?
So I went with Justin Jefferson. He amazed me so much last year, especially given everything that happened with Stephon Diggs at the time. Like, you would imagine, you at the time, your best player leaving, it would create some kind of destruction within that receiver core, but he kind of blossomed because of it. And his route running is ridiculous. He's able to shift people, and I can't get rid of I can't stop thinking about that dance into the end zone, that the giddy, I think it's called, when he gets to the end zone. I'm a big fan of that. So I love seeing that, and I love getting points seeing that. So and I went with George Kittle as well, just because I'm a big fan of taking tight ends early. I think the tight end position is something that once the first 4 or 5 tight ends go, it's a huge drop off, and then it's just like whatever. So George Kittle, obviously another injury-ridden player last year, but when he's on the field, no doubt about it, he's one of the best tight ends in the league. So in terms of catches, I love Kittle.
All right, and Kyle, go ahead, explain your pick real quick.
So I went with the classic Chris Carson. I think he is that all reliable in Seattle. He's going to get the ball. He's going to get his touches. I think the fact that they drafted Rashad Penny in the first round and he's still not taking this guy's spot tells me that they're committed to Carson. They are not moving on from him. He's their guy. He's great. Last year, I think he was the top 10 running back until he got a few weeks missed for injury. But he came back and was the same dude. He's their scorer. He's their running back. He's their guy. And that team only wants to run for some damn reason. So I love Carson.
I just went after Carson. We saw McLaurin, we saw Swift, we saw Dobbins, Robinson, and it came to my pick. And Michael Thomas was still sitting on the board there for me. And I did take a good long look at him, and I think that he is a pretty elite wide receiver still. But the uncertainty at quarterback really kind of spooked me off of him, and that's why I reached a little bit and I went with Robert Woods. I think that bringing in Matt Stafford increases Woods' usage and his value really so much that I just couldn't resist on him there. Mike, it's your pick. You took, it looks like, Mike Evans with your first pick. You want to explain?
Yeah. So I was looking at receivers there, and I was kind of just going through my options. A lot of great receivers there. I couldn't lie. I see both of my Dallas Cowboys up there. Cini actually rated above Amari Cooper, which I think will be the case this year, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them in the same category. But just Mike Evans in that offense, he plays a pivotal role on the goal line. I expect to just see tons of touchdowns this year again, so it was a no-brainer there. And then for my second pick there, real quick, I did go Mike Davis over a lot of big-name guys that were way above him. I think Mike Davis is the only three-down back that isn't going to get some of his touches gouged this year out of the backs that were left. I saw Montgomery there. Never liked him, and with Tariq back, not a good situation. Josh Jacobs now has Kenyon Drake taking carries from him. The only other one that was a three-down back was Miles Sanders. But it's set in stone in my soul that I will never take an Eagles running back. So,
all right. Well, I just went with you mentioned his name. I went with David Montgomery there. With the uncertainty with my first two picks, with Aaron Jones maybe having Aaron Rodgers, maybe not, and with Eckler kind of having the injury bug last year. I wanted to kind of hedge my bets and get another running back. I looked long and hard at Kyle Pitts there. I love him. I think he's going to be incredible coming into the league. But something in my soul just tells me don't take a rookie tight end. So I stayed away from him this time. But I think having three running backs gives me so much depth. I can plug one of them into my flex. I can, on bye weeks, flip a starting running back in there. And David Montgomery, I think, was like the 10th running back overall last year. The dude was a dog, and you can't argue with that. So they're not going to go away from him, I don't think. All right, let's see. Kyle, you took the second quarterback off the board, Josh Allen. Please tell me about your love for Josh Allen.
I'll just say I wanted David Montgomery. That dude, he only gets the ball. Same with Chris Carson. But I took Josh Allen. I love the player. And I love him in fantasy as well. It's just a huge love combo. He I don't even know how to explain it. Last year, in comparison to his previous years, he just took that insane leap forward. I don't think he's going to take a similar leap forward, but I genuinely think he could stay at that level and continue to play there.
I don't want to. Okay, just want to make sure you saw that. Sorry, Kyle. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, and I think he'll stay at that level, and I want to take full advantage of that. So I love Josh Allen, especially if I can get him in the fourth round after getting a good, healthy 3-round start to fill out my team.
All right, Dante, give me a real quick explanation of your two, because we're back to Kyle again.
Yeah, so I went James Robinson. Really kind of blossomed again last season, rookie season. Kind of took that RB position and kind of ran with it. No pun intended. But I with Trevor Lawrence there, I think he's going to have a little bit more opportunities, so I'm excited for that. DJ Moore, I was really flustered with this pick just because there are a lot of other wide receivers that on paper would be a little bit more just a little favorable, but I went with DJ Moore just based on the production. Sam Darnold, he likes to target the number one option a lot, so I went with DJ Moore in that.
All right, Kyle, looks like your pick came and went again. Go ahead, give me an explanation.
Adam Thielen, he is Kirk Cousins' guy in Minnesota. I don't know what else to say. He with they lost Kyle Rudolph, so there's a ton of targets kind of floating around there. Not to say Adam Thielen's going to claim more, but I don't think Thielen's going to lose any. So I love Thielen for his target share, his potential scoring capabilities. I love the volume there for him, and I want that.
Okay, my pick came and went here, and I took Deontay Johnson, and this is my least favorite part of the draft. These 5, 6, 7 round. I just feel like I'm always making the wrong decision, and there's never really a right decision. I really love Kenny Golladay. I think they wouldn't throw him all that money for him to sit on the bench, but he was gone. So I went with Deontay. He had 88 receptions last year. And in PPR, that's kind of hard to overlook. So that's why I kind of hedged my bets there and went with him strictly for the PPR upside. All right, Mike, your pick. Looks like you went back-to-back running back.
Yeah, spice it up a little bit. Real quick, in our draft, as you guys know, there was, I think, 4 or 5 teams last year that went 3 running backs to start the draft. So that's a very interesting aspect there. I kind of did that in the middle of my draft here. Obviously, I'm taking kind of a long shot with injury-ridden Raheem Mostert there. And then there was a lot of hype of, I think I'm pronouncing this right, Javonta Williams from Denver that got drafted this year. So the guy is phenomenal. You look at tape, the guy's absolutely incredible. But I just don't know why people are discounting Melvin Gordon for us this year. It's a beautiful thing. But Melvin Gordon is the starter until further notice. I will take him all day, along with injury-ridden Raheem Mostert, who also has rookie running backs behind him in Trey Sermon. And, I want them to lose the job. I'll take them in these rounds. I now have 4 solid running backs. If they lose their job, they lose it. If not, I have 4 starting running backs.
So I looked long and hard at my pick here again, and actually he was in consideration for my pick in the round? 5th round, and he came back to me, and that's Odell Beckham Jr. I know that they are one of the most run-heavy teams in the whole NFL, but I think that the talent behind Odell is still has to shine through a little bit. And as my 3rd wide receiver, that's a pretty average bar to have to meet. If he gives me some regular production, I think that he can. It can give me what I'm looking for more here. And he's done it before, and that's something you can't really say about some of these other guys. All right, so we're coming up to Kyle's pick here. Kyle, one thing I wanted to mention before you explain your pick. Guys, through the first 4 rounds, 25 running backs were taken. I think that's kind of amazing, considering there's only technically 32 RB1s in the NFL, if you do one for each team. But there are a few teams that don't have a bona fide starter. So that kind of just goes to show how heavy running backs are this year. So, all right, Kyle, let me stop yapping. Go ahead, explain your pick.
My pick was Brandon Eyuk, and he was my postseason darling last year, the fantasy postseason darling. That man, I wish I had the stats perfectly in my hands right now. But I think for the last 6 to 8 weeks of the season, this man was on a tear. He was just getting the ball. He was doing well with the targets he was getting, and he was balling out. And I genuinely see that carrying over into this next season. And again, I want a part of that. I think he can be great, especially when my favorite Trey Lance hops into the backfield.
Okay, so we came around to Dante again, and Dante went with a wide receiver and a running back. Go ahead, Dante.
Yeah, so with just drafted Devonta Smith for the Eagles. Him and Jalen Hurts have the Alabama connection, so I expect Hurts to be throwing the ball at him a couple times. Hopefully more than a couple, but you know what I mean. And I went with Damian Harris because for right now, Cam Newton is the starting quarterback, and they're a very run-heavy offense. Damon Harris is a big running back. So in terms of getting those goal line touches and those nitty gritty yards, as I call him, that's what he's mainly known for. So again, is he going to see my starting lineup? Probably not. I'll probably use him as a James Robinson McCaffrey backup, but for the time being, I think he's good for those goal line touches.
All right, Kyle, you took Ronald Jones. Go ahead.
I don't love the pick. Flex RB3 player. I definitely don't mind it. Ronald Jones shares that backfield with the guy who was taken 2 picks before him, Leonard Fournette, and he doesn't get a lot of touches, or at least enough to say he's the guy. I don't think there will be a guy in that backfield, but both of them have shown last year that they can both perform. Sounds like Mike got sniped 2 picks before.
I'm not cutting you off. Just
let's hear it.
Zach,
Let's hear it.
Zach, we're gonna have to throw hands, man. Oh my God. I think Stafford is an MVP front runner this year. I can't believe you took him from me there.
So I went with the Stafford Woods stack because I think that there's probably going to be a good 10 touchdowns. I feel pretty confident about that between the two of them. So that's double points for me. Every touchdown between the two of them isn't just 6, it's 12. So Mike, you're coming up here with your 2 picks.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and go receiver here. I'm going to go with Robbie Anderson for my first one. I just love the dynamic that they had when they were in New York with the deep ball. I also, going back to Dante's first pick, I think that McCaffrey does enter the 100 reception mark area this year again, just with the Sam Darnold dump downs there. So I just think that he's going to bring a new dynamic to that offense. And I think just having that old connection is going to be really good for him. And then my next pick, I'm actually going to go with Dallas Goedert here. It's a late round flyer tight end that has potential top 5, maybe top 3 tight end upside this year. If he does become the starter, there's a lot of stuff going on with Zach Ertz right now. So in the 8th round, it's not a bad choice.
All right. So it looks like I'm back up here. And what I am going to do with this pick, I think I really love Deebo Samuel. He is one of my, I think, favorite receivers because he just kind of plays a position like a pit bull. And you don't see that from a lot of NFL receivers. But that's actually not where I'm going to go. I'm going to go with Jerry Jeudy from Denver. I think that maybe if the good Lord shine on the Denver Broncos and Aaron Rodgers ends up there, I think he could be the Devontae Adams of Denver. He runs absolutely pristine routes. I saw a video of him running routes today, and I was like, holy crap, this guy's good. He had a little case of the drops last year, some of the yips, but he is a solid wide receiver. And I think that playing in an offense where the quarterback isn't as reliable as it could be is kind of holding him back. And hopefully moving forward, they'll get a better quarterback in there, and that'll benefit him. So that's why Jerry Jeudy's my pick. Kyle, you're on the board.
Going with Brandon Cooks. There were a few guys I kind of liked there, but Brandon Cooks was a guy I was considering last round. So to see him still there this round, no brainer for me. Brandon Cooks is probably the 2nd Houston Texan off the board, right after David Johnson, and for good reason. We have no idea what this offense is going to look like in a month because there's an insane amount of questions about what's going on with the quarterback situation. But Brandon Cooks, what does he have? 1,000 yards receiving for 10 different teams. So think of how many quarterbacks have been thrown to him. I see no difference happening with whoever's in the backfield, slinging it out in the backfield in Houston. So give me Brandon Cooks as my wide receiver 4 too, happily.
All right, Dante. Sorry, Dante, I left you hanging there. All right, it looks like you had your back-to-back picks. Go ahead, explain.
I went with Michael Pittman. I think Carson Wentz, like Mike said for Matt Stafford, saying he's slated to have an MVP year. I think that's going to be the case with Carson Wentz, going back to the OC that he was comfortable with in the Eagles when he was poised for MVP, and I think he has a way better wide receiver core, including Michael Pittman. So I think there are great things to be had there, and to be honest with Alexander Madison, just because of that, I know Dalvin Cook at some point. Dalvin Cook is gonna miss a couple weeks. Like if I had to put money on it, I would feel comfortable about that. So to have Alexander Madison for the Vikings and potentially used as a trade asset down the line, who knows? But that was more of a calculated pick rather than a productive pick.
And I went and hopped onto the JD Mckissick train, who I believe is, in my honest opinion, probably the best handcuff running back you could own. Just the fact that he is involved. Last year, he saw I want to say the second most or the most targets for a running back. He had 101 targets. From Washington, and I don't see those disappearing. Obviously, I love why am I blanking on Antonio Gibson. I love Antonio Gibson. I know he's going to consume a good chunk of those targets, but I don't see that role for McKissick just disappearing. So this late round 9 to take that receiving upside, I'll happily jump on that train.
All right, so for my pick, a couple of my dudes went here. I was looking at Curtis Samuel, leading up Jarvis Landry. I was going to just kind of bolster my receiving core a little bit. But my tight end, my late round tight end that I like, fell right in my lap, and that's Gronk. It took a while to shake some of the rust off last season. You know, people were dropping him left and right in their fantasy leagues, and he finally kind of blossomed late in the year. And in the Super Bowl, he had, 2 touchdowns, I believe, right? Does that sound right? I think so.
Yeah, you did have 2. He did.
So, you know, there's that connection. He's with Brady again. I think that there's fantasy points to be had. So I'm all in on Gronk, and I feel like he's a starter every single week at the tight end spot. Mike, back to back. Go ahead.
So it looks like the whole draft now is kind of taking those RB2s off the board here. So I went ahead with Gus Edwards. Arguably, obviously J.K. Dobbins is the guy there, but goal line situations and short yardage, I expect him to be out there getting me at least 50 yards a game, maybe a touchdown. So not a bad RB2. And then Laviska, the preseason hype on Laviska right now is insane. I was kind of on board with him last year, thinking he was going to be taking running back reps. So I'm excited to snag him in the 10th round here.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick with Chenault, especially because I think if you can cash in on Trevor Lawrence's favorite target, whoever it is, you're going to be in for fantasy gold there. So I took Jamal Williams, who moved to the divisional rival Detroit Lions this offseason. And he is just a dude. I think he's a great player no matter where he goes. I think he loves football, and I think he embodies what Dan Quinn is looking for in his players. So I think he's going to get touches. And DeAndre Swift is very good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve to be a third rounder at this point. But last year he missed some time. I think it was with a concussion or he was having migraines or something to that extent. So he missed a couple games. And I think that Jamal is going to see some run this year. So I like grabbing him late. I think he's a nice backup.
Oh, definitely. And I was just laughing there. Washington defense just went. So maybe we'll see a few more leading off with Kyle. No. Okay.
No, I went with Robert Tonyan, my personal favorite late round tight end. He finished the year as the tight end 4. And I get the concern that Rodgers won't be there. But that clearly hasn't affected Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams. So why is it slightly affecting Robert Tonyan? He was an end zone monster last year for Rodgers. And obviously, if he's there, I want a piece of that. So to get him as the 12th tight end off the board, I love that. and I don't have to waste an early round pick for a tight end that I know will be probably top 6. I feel confident about that. So I love it.
Dante, you're starting to concern me without a quarterback there. What's going on?
I mean, there's just so many of them. I see so many great options. There's no reason to take them right now, in my opinion. I mean, you still got Baker Mayfield. You still have Carson Wentz. You still have Justin Fields. You still have Lawrence was just taken, I guess. But I saw him just recently. So, I mean, Derek Carr, Daniel Jones. So, a lot of options still there. I mean, I'm good for now on quarterbacks.
All right, fair enough. All right, so go ahead. Explain your 2 picks.
So I went with Henry Ruggs just purely based on the potential that he has. He could be the next Tyreek Hill, just based on his speed. I know that Derek Carr wasn't really, throwing the ball to him that much, but I think that with a second year, or maybe that, the intangibles of them being together, maybe he'll give him a few more chances in terms of deep routes. And speed is the only thing that you really can't defend or coach, and that's the main reason why Tyreek Hill, is who he is. So I think with Henry Ruggs, he has the potential to have the same thing. Cole Beasley, one of the slickest slot receivers in the game. Love his route running almost as much as I love his rapping career. So I'm excited. That's another reason why I did take him, to be honest. But I think he has the heart of a champion. I think he played a couple snaps with a broken leg or something like that. He had something broken, and he was still making a lot of plays for that team for the Bills. So Cole Beasley, champion in my mind, and someone I want to have on that team in terms of touches too.
Yeah, he was sneaky good last year. All right, Kyle, we're falling behind here. So real quick on your pick.
I'm going to keep it short and simple. I wanted a piece of this Chargers offense. I love Justin Herbert, and to get Mike Williams, I'm happy.
I'm high on Mike Williams this year too. I like him a lot. I went Deshaun Watson. I threw a dart here. If Deshaun Watson plays, he is no doubt a top 5 quarterback in the league. Even with the god-awful cast that he has, he's that special. Every single year, it feels like we see a guy in legal trouble, and it really always kind of seems to just go away when the season starts. I'm thinking Tyreek a couple of years ago. Everyone panics in the offseason because they're looking for something to talk about. But we'll see. If it doesn't pan out, I spent a 11th rounder on him. I can live with that. Mike, go ahead.
So sticking with that RB2 train, I went Marlon Mack. Obviously, he's going to be splitting time with JT there. Even if JT is the starter, I'll take him as a handcuff there. And then I went Corey Davis. I do believe Corey Davis will end up as the number 1 on that team. I'm not a big believer in Zach Wilson. I'm not a big believer in him. I don't think he's going to have a successful year this year or career in the NFL. Hot take. But I do like Corey Davis, and if that does work and it comes back to bite me, at least I have the wide receiver 1.
All right, good picks there. It is up to my pick here, and I am taking – this is my favorite pick in every single draft that I do, and that is Marvin Jones down in Jacksonville. I love taking him late. He is a criminally underrated wide receiver. Mike, you always seem to end up with him every single year, and he always puts up stats. This offseason, he got paid about $12 million to go down to Jacksonville. I'm assuming, it might be LaVisca, but I'm assuming it's going to be Marvin Jones, who's going to be Trevor Lawrence's go-to guy. He's always loved big body receivers, and Marvin Jones is a huge dude. So I think that Jones he's a great route runner, a deep ball threat. I think he is the whole package, and getting him in the 12th round is just a steal, in my opinion. Kyle, go ahead.
My love for Josh Allen comes with the love for Gabriel Davis. The man's an animal. They signed Emmanuel Sanders, but I truly don't think that's going to impact this receiving depth chart. Cole Beasley is going to be that receiving guy or reliable. Stephon Diggs, nobody's toppling him. But Gabriel Davis is, I think, in the playoffs, he just continuously had these beautiful toe drag catches, and I want to watch that while I'm scoring fantasy points. So give it to me.
All right, and Dante, it came around to you, and it looks like you finally got a quarterback.
I did, yeah. I went with Matt Ryan. I am sleeper. This is going to be a hot take. I think Kyle Pitts out of the rookie class is going to have the best season this year. I think he's poised to get the most production, given that Julio Jones is out, and he's going to have a lot of room to make some noise. He's a great route runner for his position, and I think a lot of teams are just going to focus on Calvin Ridley. So I think, that one-on-one coverage, I think people are going to understand quite fast how Pitts is able to navigate through that. So massive upside for him, and I went with the Bills defense just because they were fantastic last year. They're young. Their secondary is ridiculous. Tre'Davious White is a monster in coverage. So, and they also have Ed Oliver, who I'm a big fan of. So I think with that defense, I'll be able to get a lot of points in terms of turnovers and sacks.
Kyle, you went defense here.
I figured I'd hop on the defense train, mostly before they all disappear off this draft board. But I went with New England. They were kind of rough last year, but truthfully, they were all opted out for COVID. So I think this year they kind of jump back to what they were 2 years ago. Belichick won't allow his defense to be awful 2 years in a row. And I think they just kind of be great again. So I'll take them.
Okay, I went with Mike Gesicki. I was grabbing a backup tight end here. Last season, he reeled in, in 15 games, he reeled in 53 receptions for 703 yards and 6 touchdowns. Tua really went to him when he played, and he's got fantastic hands. I think he's very equivalent to Kyle Pitts in the degree that he's basically like a wide receiver playing tight end. So to get him as my second tight end, I was very happy with that. Mike, go ahead.
So I went Paris Campbell here. I also just realized that it's 15 rounds, so I'm either going to end up with no defense or no kicker at the end of this, which is fine. I do that in normal drafts anyways. It gives you time to figure out who you want to keep, who you want to drop, and then you eventually pick up your guy there. Went Paris Campbell. Another hot take for you. I think Paris Campbell is the most talented receiver in Indianapolis, and I think that he finishes as the number 1 in Indianapolis this year. I think that offense stays the same the way they ran it last year. I did see Michael Pittman step in after Campbell got hurt, and he had a great second half of the year there. But I do think Paris Campbell is the guy. And then I went with my sleeper, Jameis Winston. I think he's going to surprise people this year. I think the guy's work ethic is something that you can't really question. Obviously, what he does on the field is a little bit different of a story. We've seen a lot of shaky seasons in the past, so I'm riding him high. He's got a lot of good weapons on that team, a smart head coach, and I think he'll make it work this year.
All right, coming back through my pick, I went Elijah Moore. I was kind of just taking a dart throw on a rookie here. In the same boat as Mike, I know I'm kind of punting either a kicker or a defense. That's fine with me. I really don't care. But yeah, I went with Elijah Moore. I think he's massively talented, and I think that the rookie quarterback is going to find a rookie receiver he likes, and that's going to be the way that it goes. So I was happy to get Elijah Moore this late, and really, if he pans out, he does. If not, he's a week 1 cut, and that's fine with me. Kyle, you took Greg the Leg.
So I was auto-picked because I was in disbelief. If you're watching the feed on the screen, I was in disbelief that the receiver I wanted to pick was nowhere to be found, and I will take him in this 15th round. So I took a pick. I took a kicker only because I had to have one.
Dante, go ahead.
All right, I'll take him right now. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Oh, go Dante. Go for it.
Dante, are you here or did you freeze up? Oh, hold on. All right, Kyle, explain yours real quick until we get Dante back.
Am I here? Do you see me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good now. You're good now.
Can you hear me? Am I good?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I went with Zach Ertz. It's 14th pick. He's there. He has the potential. Again, I mean, he's splitting time with Dallas Goedert, and the Eagles are looking forward to paying Dallas Goedert big money, so that could influence Zach Ertz in terms of trade value. So we'll see something there. If he gets in a better position, who knows? And I went with Jason Myers, alma mater, Marist College. I got to represent, and he's on my Seahawks. So that's just a double. You can't get any better than that. You know what I mean? So I went with Jason Myers. Go Foxes and go Hawks.
All right, Kyle, give me some brief on Amon-Ra.
I went with Amon-Ra. I think he is the wide receiver 1 in Detroit. I think he is the first Detroit receiver taken on the board, and he deserves to be. In the last round, I don't think so, but I think he's a fantastic late-round steal because I think he'll just lead this team in targets because they've all disappeared, and he was kind of drafted to absorb them, him and Hawkinson. So I am happily taking a deep late-round flyer on him, and I'm excited.
Yeah, I love his talent. I think he was a monster at USC this past season, so I think that's a great pick. I went Miami defense. I think people kind of sleep on what Miami did last year. They were one of the best defenses in the league, and they basically brought most of their team back, most of their defense back. So I'm pretty happy with that. And Mike, you took Cleveland's defense.
Yeah. I was about to say I was kind of I don't know what you were thinking with that pick, but I do see Miami and Cleveland both being potential division winners, and you don't become a division winner without a solid defense. So you definitely can't go wrong with either one of them there. I was looking at both of them, and Cleveland was the one that fell to me. So, I went with Cleveland there, and it looks like the draft is wrapped up here, full 15 rounds, looking pretty solid. I have been itching to mention this. Now, I kind of want to go back, if that's cool with you guys, kind of break down a little bit here. I see in the 8th, 9th round, right in the middle there, that Zach Moss was taken a round earlier than Devin Singletary. Before I give my take, I want to know what you guys think about that.
Kyle,
I don't want
someone
either.
that had both. As someone that had both last year in my fantasy league, I was pissed. I was pissed because I didn't know who to start. I didn't know who was going to get the touches. I didn't know who was going to, have that massive production. I mean, luckily, even with them, I was able to win. I've been in with you guys, but I didn't win champion. I think I'm towards the beginning of this season. I want to go Zach Moss. I know Devin Singletary is probably going to get that starting role, but I think as the season progresses, I think Zach Moss is going to usurp that role just because he's a little bit more productive in terms of navigating through the holes. Devin Singletary is more of a kind of like brute. He'll fight for those extra yards, but Zach Moss is a little bit more elusive in that regard. So I'm more of a fan of Zach Moss.
I'm going to say I only touch these two in best ball. That's the only place that I really want them, where I can get them both on my team and I don't have to worry about which one to start.
Yeah, if I truly had to choose, I don't want either of them. But I personally projected Singletary higher than Moss. But again, I would much rather the 8 running backs around them more than them, just because I don't want to have to be frustrated that one did better than the other.
Oh, yeah. And I definitely, me personally, I agree with both Zach and Kyle on the order and stuff like that. I do think Dante is right, too, that Zach Moss does turn it on at the end of the year. It's just it's great to see because obviously we're all on Twitter and we all follow a lot of fantasy football guys, and it's really great. And it's also really great that we get to hype up guys that we actually don't think are going to be successful in the season. You see all this hype about one guy, and you could just get on Twitter and just keep feeding it. And you know what? It's incredible the hype that Zach Moss gets. The guy's phenomenal. You could even argue, like Dante said, that he's going to be better. But the hype he gets is just absurd. The guy was phenomenal, but I'll never forget coming in as a rookie last year I have never seen a player on Twitter more hyped up than Zach Moss. And it boggles my mind with what goes on in the offseason. You know, you got to stay away from that offseason news. It's dangerous. Even from the mouths of coaches, you cannot believe them sometimes. So that's just something interesting I wanted to point out that I saw in rounds 8, 9, which I do, by the way, think is a great spot for both of them, right around the 8, 9, 10, possibly even further range. But now that we talked about that, did you guys see anything else on this draft board that you want to bring up, talk about a little bit?
I want to highlight what is this, Team 8 right here that went Justin Herbert, Tom Brady back to back. I think that's a bold strategy. And quite honestly, I would never do it, but I love to see it. I think they're both fantastic quarterbacks this year. I'd rather have just one of them though, but to each their own.
Out of the rookies, who do you think is going to have the best production? If you guys think anyone's going to stands out to you,
The rookie quarterbacks?
Rookie in general.
Just rookies in general.
Yeah.
I love the potential volume for Jamar Chase. I think that obviously coming in with his college quarterback, he's bound to get the ball a pretty good amount. But I think people are understating how much T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd are still going to play into that offense. So that's why I kind of tend to stay away from him. And his price tag is a little too expensive for me right now. Where did he go in this draft? He actually went before Tyler Boyd. He went in the 6th round. You know, but like I see Robbie Anderson right after him. Robbie Anderson was a wide receiver 1 last year. Like if I could get Robbie Anderson over Jamar Chase every day. But in short, to answer your question, I think that Kyle Pitts is a pretty safe bet. I think he's a home run. But for receiver, I'm high on Devontae Smith. I think he's going to be everything the Eagles wanted him to be.
Yeah, and I'll add on to that there. I think it is kind of hard to answer this question, so I'm going to leave quarterbacks out of it. I know we were talking a little bit before we hopped on tonight, and we were talking about who our favorite rookie quarterback was, and I know me and Dante said Justin Fields, which I still think is going to be true. But I would say overall, I think Najee Harris is in the best position to receive the most volume as a rookie. Here's a guy that could potentially see close to 300 touches this year in an offense with an older QB who has 1 season left, in an offense that really struggled towards the end of the year last year and had a non-existent run game. I think they're going to take this guy in, a young running back, best running back supposedly in the draft, and I think they're going to work him into the ground. They're going to feed him carries all year long, and I just think that the volume that he's going to see is enough to give him kind of that X factor to the media and the fans and even fantasy analysts and stuff like that. He has a big target on his back this year, and I think he's that guy to answer your question there.
I think I'm with you that Najee Harris may be probably most primed out of any rookie, or at least rookie running back receiver not named Kyle Pitts, to kind of see that full workload production. And I see him. I struggle with him, though, because we kind of said the same things about Clyde Edwards-Helaire last year. And I think that's why Najee isn't a mid-first round pick this year because of Clyde. But I don't see why not. He's entering a team that loves to run it, and they wouldn't have drafted him if they didn't plan to run it with him a lot and use him productively. But aside from him, I mean, obviously, I think the receivers are going to be fantastic. They were drafted to be fantastic. But again, I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to surprise. I think he's genuinely poised to lead rookie receivers in targets. And that's not me as a Detroit Lions fan. That's me as a guy who reads the most Detroit Lions beat reporters saying that he is just kind of working with Goff. He's there. And the other receivers there are just kind of guys. Tyrell Williams, I think, is the wide receiver 1 on the depth chart. And I don't see that as a threat to any production of anybody there. And Hawkinson is Hawkinson. So I truly think St. Brown can show up and maybe not do a ton with those targets, but see a ton of them and lead rookie receivers.
All right. Well, we just actually eclipsed the 1 hour point. So we are going to wrap there for the night. I think if that's good with you guys, it's good with everyone.
Totally.
The beautiful thing is there's a ton of content for us to unravel in more videos and everything coming up. So first, I just shout out Fantasy Football Calculator for saving us a little bit here. Sleeper will be back, once you get your stuff together. But you can see on the bottom are our socials. We're on Twitter at First Seed Sports and on Instagram at @firstseed_sports. We're working on getting a TikTok going as well, which should be fun. I think that should be a blast in the upcoming weeks. But check out Instagram. You can find our draft kind of recap, and you can see, we'll have little blurbs of all of our teams, and you can see who you like best, and you can leave a comment, and maybe if you're good enough or you're lucky enough, we'll get back to you. So, all right, guys, until we come back with something new, I'm sure we will be back very soon. We are excited. We are ready to get going with this NFL season and bring you the best fantasy content anywhere. So for Kyle, Dante, and Mike, I'm Zach. We're signing off for the night. See you guys.